Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
World of Wrestling, my name's Simon Tackler, and joining me is my co-host, Neal Walters. Neal, how's it going?
Good, mate. It's been an interesting day because it took us about 2 hours to get this thing going, but we're finally here.
Yeah,
I got Hacker Man here, which is good.
I felt like a real hacking nerd trying to get this show on the road. It is a new era of the show, I suppose. We're not doing it in person. We're not doing it just audio. You can actually see us, and we're both in our own homes. Social distancing.
It might be a good thing or it might be a bad thing, people being able to see us now, but hopefully people enjoy it in some way.
Yeah, the lineup is a little bit differently. Obviously, Nims and Owen aren't with us today, but it doesn't mean they won't be. You know, hopefully we'll have everyone jumping in at some point. But
absolutely,
this is huge. This is basically our first show back for 2020 after a bit of a hiatus, and we can't kick things off any bigger than with The Undertaker. The Last Ride documentary debuts on the WWE Network on Monday, and this is going to be massive. This is the WWE equivalent of Michael Jordan's Last Dance.
He's a small name. I'm not sure if most people would have heard of him, but he's been around for a little bit of time. Mark Calloway, as he's started to be known a little bit more of now, because this documentary is going to be more about the Mark Calloway side of it than the Undertaker. I think we're going to get a glimpse into the Undertaker that we haven't seen before, and I think, yeah, as I said, it's like the Last Dance kind of setup. It's an unprecedented look into the life of the Undertaker over the last 30 years now. I'd say it would have been at least. So I can't wait to watch it after Money in the Bank on Monday.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think if there's any WWE superstar who can justify a multi-part series like this, it is The Undertaker, because we don't even have that many previous documentaries or DVDs to go by. So to finally have it all pieced together, it's great.
There's nothing on him really. Like, it's just old matches and that's it. Like, every now and then you get a little bit of behind the scenes footage of him, but there's nothing to this extent that we've ever seen. And what I've seen so far with just a little previews just looks completely different to anything I've seen from WWE before, because they haven't given us the behind the scenes of The Undertaker before. Like, we've seen it with Roman Reigns, we've seen it with like Jeff Hardy and those kind of people, where you do get that behind the scenes or, you know, behind the curtain look. But this is going to be something absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and what I didn't know, but when I was reading about the first episode, it sort of starts at WrestleMania in Orlando, his match with Roman Reigns. He had a film crew following him even back then. So this has been in the works for a few years. And, you know, I think now we can sort of figure out that we all thought that might have been the end of The Undertaker's career then, and maybe that was the plan. But from what we've heard, he wasn't that happy with the match. And yeah, we've got in the last few years. But to me, that makes this documentary even more fascinating. Getting to see that thought process, you know, what was the plan then? How did it change? And now we're at the point we're at. We've seen the Boneyard match. We've seen The Undertaker enter the world of social media. It's a totally different end to his career than anyone would have predicted. Not saying it's completely over yet, but yeah, it's a really fascinating time for this to come out.
Well, yeah, and I think it's going to give us a glimpse into where we're going to go forward from here. What's going to happen next with him? Because that's been something that I think we've all been speaking about since he basically lost to Brock. Is like, what happens now? When does this character finish? And it's something that no one's been able to get an answer out of. He doesn't really do interviews. He doesn't really do any of this kind of stuff. Like, the Stone Cold podcast was the first time we'd seen something like him not dressed as The Undertaker. He was just as Mark Calloway. So with him coming back now as the American Badass character too, you're like, well, this adds a whole nother level, and we could probably see him keep going with this for another 4 or 5 years if he does just do the American Badass character, for sure.
Yeah, and we can see him in these cinematic matches like the Boneyard match, and yeah, I'm all for it. That's been one of the weird benefits to come out of, you know, what was a weird situation with WrestleMania. And I think, the praise it got was deserved, and yeah, could be a whole new era for the last few years of the Undertaker character. But in saying that, not only do we have this documentary to look forward to, but thanks to WWE Australia, we were able to get some comments from The Undertaker himself. from the deadman. Like you said, he doesn't do many interviews, so to hear from the man himself is absolutely massive. And we're going to go to that right now. So we're joined by none other than The Undertaker, the dead man, the American badass. He's done so much, and this Monday, as we said, The Last Ride debuts on the WWE Network for the first time ever. We're going to get a look behind the curtain at the man behind the legend. And The Last Ride has been in the making for more than 3 years. We can't wait. It must have been a strange experience, though, to have cameras following you around pretty much for the first time in that setting in your career.
Yeah, it was really strange because obviously everyone knows I've been very protective of the Undertaker character and what's seen and what isn't seen. So it was very strange and initially uncomfortable for me having camera crews following me around. But as we went through this, I become more comfortable with it, and then obviously allowed more access into everything, which I'm so glad that we were able to do, because I think this docuseries is going to blow people away.
So, Taker, for the millions of fans around the world that have followed The Undertaker for many years, what can we expect to learn about Mark Calloway, which is obviously the person behind The Undertaker in this docuseries?
They're going to learn a lot. They're going to see what the man behind the hat is really like on a personal level. I think they're going to be shocked. I think they'll be shocked from the contrast between The Undertaker and Mark Calloway. They're going to see a stark difference in the two, and probably a good reason why I kept them separate for so long.
And as we mentioned, the timing is strange. It almost syncs up perfectly with Michael Jordan's The Last Dance, and now we've got The Undertaker's Last Ride. Have you seen or were you aware of The Last Dance, and what do you think of the comparisons with Michael Jordan's story?
Yes, I'm well aware of it, and actually, I'm watching that. I'm watching that one as well. I think there are comparisons, but I think the difference is obviously, we're getting to a point whether I'm going to wind down, and they're talking about, I think, more or less the last years that the Bulls were together on their three-peat championship. But there obviously are some similarities, but I think the Last Ride is obviously, I think, a little more personal. It's more on a personal level, but I think equally as intriguing and interesting.
So with a WWE spanning 4 decades, you've traveled around the globe putting smiles on faces around the world, obviously. Which particular countries outside the US have you always enjoyed visiting more and performing in, and why?
Man, I tell you what, I've been all over the world. I've always loved going to the UK, Germany, Australia, Mexico. The fans there, they obviously they don't get to see us as often, and the energy level, when we go overseas, it's phenomenal, and it's such a it's so fun because there's so much energy in the arena that you always want to go out and give it your best. And I'll definitely, once I do take that last ride, that will be something that I miss, is traveling internationally and seeing, getting to see all the people in the arenas.
The Undertaker, The Last Ride, the 5-part limited series event debuts on Monday. It's streaming on the WWE Network right after Money in the Bank. We can't wait. And thanks again to WWE Australia for the access to the dead man. I'm so stoked for this.
So speaking of Monday with the Undertaker's documentary, before that, obviously, we have the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which is going to be obviously very different to pay-per-views, Money in the Bank pay-per-views in previous years, as it's going to be at the WWE headquarters in Connecticut. We've all seen what's happened at the WWE headquarters previously, with famously Stone Cold taking over as CEO, which is probably one of my favorite moments ever in wrestling. But this year we're going to have ladders and they're set up and everything on top of the roof. And then the match is going to be starting at the bottom, which is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait for this. I think the Money in the Bank matches are going to be worth it alone. The fact that it's men and women competing at the same time, the fact that it's on location in the headquarters, which, as you mentioned, we got to look at it, 20 years ago in the Attitude Era. We haven't really seen much there, done on the show. So I'm excited just to get a bit of a tour.
Brock really is the only one to go back there in recent times, and then he smashed up Triple H's office, which was, again, awesome. But I think every time they've included the headquarters, it's been so good.
Yeah.
I think it adds to this. But I've read online that they're going to be spreading out the match because it's going to be the men and women at the same time. And then so it's going to be spread out over the whole pay-per-view. It's not just going to be one match.
Oh, that's kind of fun. So it'll cut to it.
Yeah, because obviously with it being like you've got 8 superstars, is 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 superstars fighting at one time in one location. And I assume that they'll have everything else going on Performance Center, and then they'll cut to Connecticut, which would make a lot of sense. And so they're going to have the whole thing spread out over the night, because it could realistically, it could go for about 2 hours. Trying to get them from the bottom to the top with everything that'll happen in between. I think you'll see people like the Boogeyman and those kind of things come back.
Oh, actually,
a floor opens,
and it's all the weirdos and all the legends.
Yeah, they'll it can't just be the 12-minute. I think they'll open up, like someone will get in the elevator, they'll open it a floor, and it'll be like the Boogeyman floor, and then he'll be there, and like all kinds of different scenarios.
Yeah. That could be fun. I didn't even think of the cameos. But yeah, well, we know, Bruce Pritchard, he's back in the fold. He works at the office. We could see Brother Love show up. We could see Michael Hayes and some of the other office staff.
They go down to the boiler room, like Mankind's in there.
Yeah.
And then Dude Love on the second floor.
Yeah.
I'd be about it.
Yeah. Well, who knows? This might set the bar so high that every Money in the Bank match might just have to be on location now,
Imagine if it's so good that they can never go back to doing it in a normal setting again. If you got to look at the cinematic things from WrestleMania, you could never do a Boneyard match in a stadium with a crowd anymore.
No.
Because it's set so high as a cinematic thing. I think that's the big bonus going forward from here, is you'll get that cinematic things which will actually create a new thing with wrestling. And I think this will still continue when, say, WrestleMania next year, they'll have another cinematic match in there because it was so well received, for sure.
Yeah, and hey, speaking of memorable moments at the office, to tie back into what we're talking about, one of the most memorable was Beyond the Mat, when Vince McMahon was doing, his famous Droz promo from Titan Towers. But one of the iconic lines from the movie is where he says, we make movies, pal. And I think we're living Vince McMahon's dream. We've reached it. WWE is making movies, and it's happening at the global headquarters. So I can't wait. It's going to be sick. But getting to the actual wrestling matches, there are other matches. We've got a tag team title match for the SmackDown titles. It's a fatal 4-way. The New Day, Miz and Morrison, Lucha House Party, and the Forgotten Sons. Who's your pick for this one?
New Day just won. So you can't really see them losing. Maybe Miz and Morrison take it out again, and it's just a back and forth between those guys, because I think that they would like to see the New Day get to a 10-time tag team title holders, just so they could say it in their intro. But look, I can't see anyone else but the New Day winning.
Yeah, I'm going to go New Day, but I'm also going to predict that we might find out, who the hacker is, because that's had so much to do with the tag division. So maybe it's a new team, maybe it's a returning star, but yeah, I'm glad they're still doing something like this, even in these times and in this situation. They're still putting in that effort to possibly debut something new.
I think that the hacker thing is a whole different conversation, but I'll wait until we talk about the Money in the Bank match for that one.
Interesting. Then also on SmackDown, we've got the Women's Championship. Bayley versus Tamina. I'm picking Bayley on this one.
I'll take Bayley too. I can't see any major, except for the Strowman Bray Wyatt match. I don't think you'll see any major title changes until there's a crowd back.
Okay.
Because taking it off of Bayley while there's no crowds around would just be I don't know, it wouldn't feel like a big accomplishment for Tamina, and I don't think they'd do that to her. Like if they're gonna build up Tamina and make her a big star, then wait until there's someone there to cheer for her for sure.
Yeah. Okay, what else do we have? We've got the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. Who you got?
Again, I'd say Drew, for the same reason. Is like there was such a massive build up to him winning it, that to take it off him and to put it onto Seth. And what Seth's doing at the moment is so good. Like the whole Messiah thing is so good. He's clicked it, he's got around him and everything. Him losing would mean absolutely nothing. And he could continue on, but Drew losing would completely take down his character and would make no sense. So my pick's Drew for sure.
We should go. I'd love to go through the stats. I'm not going to do it now because there's too many. I'd love to see the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. How many times the new champion lost the title? It really wouldn't have happened often.
Well, what used to be Backlash, obviously,
Yeah.
it would have happened a few times because you got to look at like when I think Triple H took it off The Rock.
Yeah, Triple H wins that fatal 4-way at WrestleMania. He retained. I think he loses to The Rock at Backlash. That's one of the only that I could think of. I was thinking the same one.
Yeah, and then after WrestleMania 17, it was Austin and Triple H defending. Like it was very rarely it was a redo of the title match straight away, because after WrestleMania, it's such a big payoff that, Kofi didn't lose it. Daniel Bryan didn't lose it. You go back to the bigger names, Lesnar didn't lose it. Seth Rollins doesn't lose it. So yeah, it is it's not a nothing pay-per-view, but it is one where you're like, there won't be massive changes, but I can see the biggest change being Braun versus Bray.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that one. Braun and Bray. You really think Bray might get it back?
Yeah, I think that it wasn't ever in the cards for Braun to be champion, because of everything that's happened, obviously. Braun was a placeholder, and it was always meant to be Bray versus he who must not be named at the moment, apparently. So I'd say that Bray is going to get it back because he is the best there is in WWE at the moment. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Bray is the best thing that wrestling has, and his belt and everything, like that whole thing, it makes way more sense than Braun Strowman having it. Because let's say Braun does win. Who's next? Who goes after that?
Yeah, if it's not Roman Reigns, then who? Yeah,
there's no one really that could beat Braun. He's too big. But Bray, if he introduces in the Fiend character at the same time, like they could do the cinematic kind of stuff where they're both there, they both play with him, and then they both beat him. That makes way more sense. And then why can't you do Braun versus Bray again in you do it in a Hell in a Cell match, you do it in a cage, you do it in somewhere where, the Fiend can't interfere or whatever he wants to put on. That makes way more sense than just, okay, Braun wins, and then what do you do with Bray after that?
Yeah, this one's a weird one. I don't think this is one match and it's over. So
no.
I'm going to say Bray wins, but I don't think the feud is over.
There's also an opportunity of maybe Bray wins not clean, or he does, or maybe it's via DQ or something like that. Like, yeah, if it's this can't be a one and done. It's over. Bray wins cleanly. Like, there's no way that Bray goes in there and beats him clean. Maybe there's a Sister Abigail introduced or someone like that helps out Bray, because there was talks for a while there that who was going to be Sister Abigail. It was not Ruby Wright.
Liv Morgan.
Liv Morgan, sorry. Liv Morgan was going to be Sister Abigail. So maybe someone does get introduced as Sister Abigail. We get a new character that, I'd love to see the Wyatt family in some way come back and help, or new members of the Wyatt family come back. But yeah, I'd love it not to be just a clean match, because it'd be weird. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And then to the main events, the Money in the Bank matches. We'll try and run through all the competitors. So on the women's side, it's Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Asuka, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Carmella. For the men, it's Daniel Bryan, Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, King Corbin, Otis and AJ Styles. A lot of variety in these matches.
The biggest variety
Kinda
that we've
weird.
had so far, for sure. Like it is like you look at the men's, the women's is kind of, yeah, that makes sense. They're the biggest stars at the moment that don't hold a belt. But with the guys, like having Aleister Black and Otis in the same match is so weird.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
I think
But they're Otis and Aleister Black are the two most popular wrestlers nearly like that are faces at the moment by a mile. Like they're killing it.
yeah, it's kind of a weird time because there's no crowd. It's hard to really judge who has the momentum going in. Normally with Money in the Bank, you can say, oh, that person's really getting hot at this point. You know, they're getting heaps of a huge following. Give them the briefcase. We don't really know. We don't really know who the fans are pulling for. Obviously, we can judge by social media and whatnot. I don't know. They probably are the most interesting picks to win it.
Look, I'm going to give you three answers to who I think is going to win. I'm going to give you what my head thinks, what my heart thinks, and then my alternative answer. So my head says AJ Styles is going to win this thing because he just lost his two tag partners. What do you do with him from there? So I think that there's a possibility that AJ picks it up. I'd like seeing with a briefcase would be smart. My heart says Aleister Black because he's the one that deserves the push the most. It'd be so smart to have him with like a black briefcase sitting in the room, like just talking about how he's going to take someone's like title off and that's it. And then my alternative is that I think that whoever this hacker is going to come back and mess around with it and then take away, like lock all the doors at the top, lock people in the elevators and screw around with the whole thing. And then Ali is the one that obviously is the hacker, obviously. Then comes in and takes the belt.
See, that could happen because, some of their, fancy hacking has been to do with Otis. It's been to do with people in the women's Money in the Bank as well. So, I don't know. Maybe that whole hacking team is going to steal both briefcases. How do we know there isn't a female competitor involved in that too? Yeah. And it's like a group and they're protecting both briefcases and they can eventually win both championships.
Well, it makes sense because basically what they've been showing on there is people that are involved in the Money in the Bank match. So you'd think that they're going to mess around with these people. Maybe the whole thing is there. So each level that they go up to, they're set up by the hacker and everyone's taken out in some way or another. And that would be like, obviously locking people in the elevators is a cheap one that could be done really easily. But then, what if they get up to the top of the ladder and then the briefcases go up higher and they've got control over them and everything? Like there's so much that they could do. But my problem that I have is the fact that I think that King Corbin's a real chance to win it too.
Yeah.
Because him having it would make a lot of sense.
And he can make up for what happened to him last time when he had it. And that was a failed cash in. Corbin can do it.
Exactly.
Corbin's due for a world title run. It's going to happen. Whether you want it to or not, Corbin is going to be WWE champion.
And why not do it when there's no crowd there to boo him out of the building? So.
Although it almost should happen in front of a crowd. I want to hear that boo.
So who's your pick?
It's such a tough one. I'm going to say Aleister Black for the men, but at the same time, just from being a big fan, I don't know, give it to Daniel Bryan again. Why not? Even though there is no reason to.
I think Bryan and Mysterio are the two that don't need it the most.
Yeah, no, never.
Black and then Otis. I'd love for Otis to have it, but again, it makes no sense. Like he'd be a huge pop when he has it, and seeing him like open up the briefcase and it's got like fried chicken and stuff in it would be incredible. But yeah, with the women's one, I'm going to say Shayna for sure.
100%.
Her and Becky's storyline isn't over yet by a mile. She'll just have this briefcase, and as soon as there's a crowd in again, that's it. The first pay-per-view or whatever it is, the second they've got a crowd, she cashes in on Becky and everyone loses their minds.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah, crowd is back. Becky's saying, oh my God, we're so glad to be back in front of the WWE Universe. I'm the man.
Bang.
Everyone's cheering. Yeah, I like it. It's going to be a fun show. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, as we said, combine that with the Undertaker Last Ride doco kicking off. The WWE Network is the place to be this Monday.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be there.
Yeah. So it's going to be good. And to wrap the show up, we do have some clips that we want to go through. Neal, you've picked a couple. We'll get to them now.
So obviously, ever since Mania, we've all been wondering where is the 24/7 title now with Gronkowski going back to football or NFL. Obviously, sorry, I'm going to have American people having a go at me for calling it football. But NFL, we have R-Truth coming in. Who R-Truth's the funniest guy in wrestling, pretty much of all time, I'd say. He's coming back and he's hit people with this.
What we have here is a failure to communicate. Rob Gronkowski. You got something that belongs to me, dog.
Gronkowski.
My 24/7, 48/7, 7-Eleven, I-95 South European Television Championship. Rob, do I gotta go to your press conference to get my baby back? Hey, Rob!
So he set up a fake press conference. What are those dolls called again that you beat up? Yeah.
He's got like the fake Buccaneers like printed out.
Do I have to come to your house in person to get
Oh,
my
wow.
baby back?
He's done a whole series. I love that him and his family are just doing these sketches. Check this out. It's on R-Truth's Twitter. Wow, this is amazing.
Rob Gronkowski, I'm coming! Hit him up! Hit him up! I'm coming for you, Rob.
I love it. I love R-Truth.
Like the fact that he calls him Gronkowski, I'm like, he's my favorite at least, easily at the moment.
Yeah, he's had like a second wave, a third wave, a fourth wave, just R-Truth.
Yeah.
Every year you're like, that's probably it for him. And then he just comes back with more of this. And now that social media is what it is, and TikTok and everything else, yeah, he just jumps on it and kills it. I love it.
He's doing very, very well.
Yeah. All right, so switching to AEW. I think I know why you chose this clip, why you wanted to look at it. So,
dude, this is so good. The fact, and let's talk about quickly that Sammy Guevara and Jericho are calling themselves Les Sex Gods.
Yeah, that's their team within the Inner Circle. I love it.
Yeah. They've got a separate thing in the Inner Circle. It's like Jericho's just on another level to everyone else at the moment. But just quickly to talk about this match too, seeing Matt Hardy go from broken Matt Hardy and then changing halfway through the match to old school Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what he has, like, this is how to use Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
To let him go and just go, I can do whatever I want here. It's perfect.
He looked good too. I thought Matt Hardy looked like he was in really good shape.
Yeah, I think he's trying a lot harder now because they're going, yeah, you can do whatever you want. So they're going to utilize him and use him in the right way. And as you can see in this clip, like, I can't wait for this video is someone to put this to those dancing funeral dudes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So eventually, if no one's done that yet, I'm going to do that immediately after we finish this because that's exactly what has to happen.
Yeah. Wow. I'm surprised I haven't seen that one yet. Please make that because that's perfect.
I'm going to do that right now.
This has already become, an awesome meme template, and we're seeing that. And what a memorable moment. It was Les Sex Gods versus Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy. And this is the scene that the world is talking about. Chasing Sammy in a golf cart.
He nearly kills him.
Oh my God.
He was so close to killing him.
Yeah.
Like his head goes smash into the side of it. I'm so surprised how he's not dead.
Let's watch it again.
Sammy's running like a scalded dog.
Oh my God.
Sammy got ran over.
It was so good. I never knew
close to dying.
Didn't know I wanted JR and Tony Schiavone to call a guy getting hit by a golf cart, but it was perfect.
Well, the last time we saw someone get hit by a golf cart was WrestleMania 17 with Kane and it was Big Show running down Raven in a golf cart.
Yeah, Big Show, Kane and Raven. You're right. That was golf cart action. We need more of it. It was
Bring
good
back
stuff.
Golf carts.
Yeah,
I think from now on we need to have at least one golf cart match them up.
Yeah, this has set the bar very high for empty arena matches. I'm going to put this is up there. Like in the past few months, this is one of the best matches. Kenny Omega hitting the moonsault off the scissor lift. What a maniac.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Yeah, AEW is just knocking it out of the park at the moment, this empty arena stuff.
Yeah, their shows have been great. So if we're going to stick with, the Wednesday night wars or Thursday night for us down under, flipping to the other channel, NXT had a pretty eventful show as well. But the highlight for me had to be the WWE official, in-arena debut of Karrion Kross and Scarlett. This entrance, I'm calling it. This is one of the best entrances in the past, I don't know, decade. I loved it. This was so over the top.
It's basically like if Aleister Black had a brother and sister. This is what you'd expect from it.
Yeah, it was dark. It was well produced.
The fact that they've done something in black and white too. Oh, that's I'm the biggest fan.
It's black and white, and then it turned, all red, and then into color, and
yeah.
Scarlett lip syncing to the music, which was great. It felt like you're watching like a music video or something, but obviously it's shot live.
We haven't seen anyone do lip syncing to a song in a very long time too. Like, I think Jeff Hardy is pretty much the only one that sings along to his
he does.
theme music.
Yeah, you're right. And I like the song too. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, great song.
And then, just the smoke, the red.
Yeah, see, this is how you do an entrance. When there's no crowd, this is the kind of stuff you need to do.
Just go crazy over the top with production. I loved it. Everyone
Absolutely.
should see this. If anyone missed NXT, this was absolutely the highlight. And then he just killed some poor dude in like 1 minute.
Yeah. I can't even remember who it was.
Just some guy.
Annihilation. I think the entrance went longer than the match.
Oh, it absolutely did. It might have been 3 times longer than it. For anyone who doesn't know them, they had a run in Impact. I think Killer Cross was also in Lucha Underground for one of the seasons. He's been, spoken of very highly by a lot of, ex-wrestlers and talents. And Scarlett Bordeaux, she's very talented too. Obviously plays up, the sexual character. They did a lot of fun vignettes in Impact. I think together, this is going to be a huge act. Like I was saying in our group chat during the week, you would put this on the main roster right away. Like a team that looks like this,
I'm really, really happy they went to NXT though. If that had gone to Raw at the moment, I think they would have fallen behind a little bit. To see these two in NXT and they can really wreak havoc, keep them there for as long as you can.
Yeah,
sure.
no, I get that.
I'd like to see him go up against Adam Cole.
Yeah, I get that because it is a different character than even what they were doing, like, with the presentation and everything. So it looks like they're going to establish something pretty different. And I don't know. To me, this feels like it can work on any stage. Man, he's a big dude, though. He's going to look a lot bigger than Adam Cole or some of the other NXT main eventers.
Absolutely massive.
But impressive suplexes, the cool choke out. He's got a great style. I think it's going to work. And I love it. And what was cool too, I didn't realize Scarlett Bordeaux was a singer. She's actually doing the vocals to that song. She wasn't just lip syncing. Yeah, I didn't know that because someone asked and she was like, that's me doing the vocals. And previously in Ring of Honor, she had sung the national anthem. So there you go.
Yeah, cool.
WWE just taking advantage of, other talents and incorporating it. Because why wouldn't you,
Yeah, which is smart. They should do that as, obviously there'd be a lot of people you wouldn't want to hear sing, such as Stone Cold or The Rock, where they've done that before. But when they can sing, utilize the hell out of it. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm looking forward to it. It was a very eventful week in wrestling. It's going to be huge next week. As we said, Money in the Bank. We've got the Undertaker's last ride. We're going to break all of that down next week. We are back, and hopefully this time back permanently. We'll have more guests on and, hopefully get the guys on again and keep the train rolling.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. Subscribe, whatever we do with this. I think it'll be up on YouTube this week on Sunday night. So subscribe, like, share it around. The aim is for us to do these every single week to bring you guys as much as you possibly can take in during this time of quarantine. So, thanks for joining us.
And as we've said, you can find us on YouTube. The video is going to be there. We're going to put the video on our Facebook page too. This will be uploaded as a podcast too. So if you're hearing this right now, check out the video. If you're watching this right now and you want to download it to finish it while you're going for a walk or a bike ride or whatever you're doing, it's going to be somewhere. We'll put all the links on Twitter and Facebook. Follow us there, The Wide World of Wrestling. I'm Simon. That's Neal in that box. We'll catch you next week.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.